Hello and welcome to the next lesson where we are going to look to take this a little bit further. We're going to start talking about journaling. Now, this is going to be essentially how we're going to look to mark up all of your positions and everything like that, because we need to look at how you're trading. We need to understand what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and month by month, we'll be able to find out all of that stuff. And we're going to utilize this a lot for our homework as well, especially when we do something called the block challenges, which I'm going to explain to you in a little while. Now, there's two types of journals. I'm going to take this lesson first to talk about this particular one, which is a little bit more manual. And then the next one, we'll talk about the automatic process. This is the trading journal I created a few years back now. And honestly, it is very, very simple and very, very easy to use. And I'm actually going to attach this for you to have. So you can basically utilize this straight away. So I've literally copied the whole thing month by month. So we've got all the way up to December here. Now, obviously, we're in February now. And just as a very easy reflection on how to use this, you can scroll across. You can see the date in where our executions are going to be, the trade in where our executions are going to be, the pips, the charts, everything, even up to the outcome and additional confirmations and mindset. This is just so we can get a bit of an understanding. And also, you are going to be presented with data in here, which is going to allow you the chance to assess your own strengths and weaknesses. And every single month you're doing this, you will come out with information that is going to change the game for you. So, how to fill this out, even though it looks self-explanatory, I'm just going to go back on the last lesson where I took a random position on pounds. Now, as you can see, this position was we took it was a completely random position. We had this one here on pound and this one here on euro, which I believe has not actually taken place yet. So as you can see, this is our position that we're looking to take on pound. And again, this is a random position. We're not necessarily worrying about confluences or anything right now, but we need to basically look to get this into our journal. So let's just take a second and fill this in. So the date today is the 19th of February 2025. It is a Wednesday. And we are actually, and I'm just going to bring this across just to make this make a little bit more sense. Now, by week, we're looking at what week in the month this is. Now, I believe, just looking at my calendar here, we are actually in week 3 of the month. So this is the 3rd week of the month. Now, time of entry, I'm not going to worry so much about time of entry at the moment because we haven't actually been triggered into it. So that is really the time you're going to look to get in. So let's just say we're setting this here. This would hopefully take place during the New York session. So at the moment, we haven't had that time of entry, so that is not applicable to us. The pair I'm looking to trade is Euro USD. Now, in terms of the time frame, what we can see here is that we're on a 1 hour chart with this particular position. So this is the 1 hour. The session we're looking to take this is basically I've executed this trade during what is now the London session coming into the New York session. So I'm going to say London, New York session. The type of order is going to be a sell. And in terms of if there's a news event, now we're going to go into more detail on these news events, but basically, is there any news events taking place today or around the time we're looking to trade? So we can see FOMC is at 7. We've had Trump speaking, and that is essentially the first bit. So we've got, in terms of news event, we've got Trump and we've got FOMC. So this is just going to make us aware of the timing and of the trades and things like that. Back over to here, how many pips is this? You can see here, this is 12 pips for a stop loss. So that red line right there, you can see it says stop. It says this 12.3, that is going to be the risk that you're actually taking. So coming into this area now, your stop loss is going to be 12. Your take profit, just going back, is going to be, I'm going to round this down as well to the closest because this is 76.3. I'm just going to say 76. So that's going to be 76 in terms of pips. Now, going across we need to look at the next stage of this particular setup. So higher time frame before and after. Now we haven't actually done any analysis on the higher time frame for this particular position, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. But for the sake of filling it in, we're just going to look at this bullish leg. We're going to see here we're actually inside a daily fair value gap as well. So you can see here, this is the daily time frame, and I'm just going to screenshot and download that image right there. And that will allow me to basically come back in to my area. So this is going to be daily time frame is bullish inside a fair value gap, just as a good example. Now, the before is going to go back to my downloads. And actually, what I'm going to do, make this a little bit easier. I'm not going to put an image in here. I'm going to come to this area here. I'm going to come to this camera on, this is really clever as well. I'm going to come to this snapshot, and instead of downloading an image, I'm going to copy the link. So when I copy the link, that's going to keep my trade journal a little bit cleaner. And with that, I can just put that straight in. So the link is right here. Now, the after one is not yet applicable because we haven't obviously seen how this trade has worked out. And obviously we're looking for a sell. Now, this is going to help us with a lot, this next stage here, because you can see in terms of this line here, which is the bias, we want to make sure that we're in line with the higher time frame as well, because we're in a bullish environment, bullish fair value gap, as you can see right here. But actually, we've taken a sell. So this is going to make you kind of double think your trades. And I know we did this for just an example last time. However, this overall on the higher time frame is bullish, and we are now against the trend, if that makes sense. So this is very, very interesting. And in actual fact, just to make this easier, I am going to copy that. And I'm going to bring that here. And I'm going to get rid of that. So basically, instead of having to write down whether we're bullish or not, we're just putting down the time frame from a bullish area. Or you can put your notes, completely up to you. The before is going to be before the actual trade on the snapshot. So this particular position, which sits right here, is going to be the before. And once again, come up to this camera, copy link, get rid of this, come back here, and then I'm going to basically copy that in there. So we've got a before, we've got a higher time frame level picture, which has shown us that we're bullish. So the bias is bullish. We've got a before, which is going to be our sell. And therefore, we're going to wait and see what happens after. And then we will basically put in a screenshot of the end result after. Now, once again, bringing this account, we're going to fill this in after we've done this. In terms of confirmations, we basically need to put a little note here to say bullish on the higher time frame. The position is a sell, which basically means risky. So in terms of mindset, we're going to basically put a few different things, what we're thinking down, how are we kind of understanding the position? Are we happy with the position that we've taken? And is that going to take us away from taking this position? Because this journal is going to be really good for that. But mindset is really going to come before, during, and after as well. So what I could say here, for example, just as a note to myself, is took a sell on the 1 hour chart before looking at the higher time frame. So my mindset now is I am no longer as confident. So we could do a couple of things with this. You could basically just leave it and see what happens, or you could cancel the whole position. You could potentially look to come into this here and modify the order. So actually, let's bring our risk down a little bit and see if we can just modify that. So now actually we've taken our risk all the way down. And by doing that, we've taken a little bit of stress off. Let's say you're really not happy with it. We can just right click, we can modify the order, and we can, let's say actually we're going to bring this risk right down to this level here. and we're going to click modify order, and we're actually risking a lot less now because we're in a bullish environment. Or you can keep it the same. It's really up to you. So now we go back to our journal and we consider what our next sort of thoughts are within this. So in this sort of position here, we can say, I have lowered the risk. So that's a nice sort of way of putting it. So, and when we see this, this is really going to help us out in terms of seeing how you think before, during, and after setups. There is an easier way in terms of on an automated system. You do have to pay for that. So this is definitely, it's a little bit more manual, but I've already done the bulk of the work for you in terms of this here. Now, this is going to be a little bit more work, but this here, please understand, I've done thousands and thousands of trades on this very journal, and this has led to huge, huge profits for me. And it's also led to an untold amount of experience during my own learning. This is going to present us with all the data we need to find out where our strengths and weaknesses actually lie. So we know that if our winning trades happen to be on a Wednesday rather than a Friday, this is going to tell us Wednesdays are a stronger day. We're going to find out whether we're stronger in the London session or the New York session, or whether we're stronger on a 1 hour time frame or a 5 minute time frame. When you have all of this data, and don't have to do 10 trades, you can continue all the way down and just create more rows, you're going to be absolutely amazed at how far you've come in just a month of journaling. Because at the moment, you might not be taking your journaling seriously, but this is very, very important. So I've attached this journal here for you. Please go ahead, start utilizing this, and let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you on the next one.